This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Tonight, the racing world is grieving a legend.
Thanks for being here with us. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starrentino. Today, we are learning John Andretti has died after his 3-year fight with colon cancer. He was just 56 years old.
A father, a son, a husband, and dad. The RTV6 sports team knows him as one of the most giving people you would ever meet. He competed in 12 Indy 500 races.
But his biggest successes in racing stock cars. Later, when he began to slow things down on the track, he ramped up his goodwill with his involvement in the race for Riley, with money going to Riley Hospital for Children. RTV6's Dave First took a deep look back at the life and legacy of John Andretti when we learned this sad news. Now, you can find full coverage right now on the RTV6 app, IndyChannel.com.
The racing world received more big news today with the announcement that IndyCar icon Tony Kanaan will be racing his final Indy 500 this year. Our Dave First sat down with him. We'll have that chat that you can't miss a little later in this half hour.
And working for you to separate fact from fiction in the spread of the novel coronavirus.
The World Health Organization has now declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern.
There are 6 reported cases here in the U.S., with over 7,700 people worldwide with the illness. While there are no confirmed cases in Indiana, we set out to learn how well prepared our state is. Leaders at Franciscan Health say they are taking proactive measures to monitor and screen patients who may have traveled outside the country and were potentially exposed.
We actually have had a scenario that played out that we were concerned enough to implement some of those types of precautions with our staff. So that was actually a really good sort of dry run, if you will. Test case ended up not being a case, thankfully.
Again, no confirmed cases here in Indiana. Doctors say you should not worry yourself too much and make sure to continue to wash your hands frequently.
Health officials say they want to continue to monitor the coronavirus closely, but they say the flu is still a much bigger threat in the U.S. In fact, the flu has killed more than 8,000 Americans since the start of the season, and doctors admitted more than 150,000 people to the hospital for treatment. Last year, the flu killed 34,000 people here in the U.S. Flu activity usually peaks around this time and tapers off by April. Your 2 best defenses are getting a flu shot and frequently washing your hands.
Now, in the Storm Team 6 Tracking Center with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory, what we were just talking about is just how gray it's been, as gray as his coat over here.
I said it's cloudy, and she said it's cloudy.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. Well, on Sunday, we'll say it's sunny. Yeah, we've got that to look forward to. Okay, temperatures right now, it's dry underneath all those clouds. 35 degrees in Indianapolis, 32 in Peru. Temperatures a little warmer to the south and west. In Bloomington, you had some sun at least peek through today. Temperatures in the metro area all low to mid 30s. They won't change a whole lot between now and tomorrow morning. One thing that will change, although radar is not showing anything now, I think there'll be some light blue on the radar for light snow, especially southern half of the state in the morning. 30 degrees, light snow. We may see some light accumulating snow as well. More on that in a minute. Then as the buses are rolling home tomorrow evening, tomorrow afternoon, 38, and it will be dry. 1 o'clock in the morning, not much happening. There's the first sign of some snow. Terre Haute to Bloomington down to around Columbus. That's at 6 a.m. Drifts a little more to the north, but Interstate 70 south still by 9 a.m. There we are early afternoon, pushing off to the east. We'll talk about some of those potential snowfall amounts coming up.
Tonight, RTV6 is holding Indigo accountable for big changes on the way that could affect how you get around town.
Indigo is switching over to a grid-based route system. Right now, it operates on a hub and spoke system, meaning you usually need to make a transfer to go downtown. Indigo says the new system will mostly eliminate that need, and most changes will happen over the summer. We talked to people who say they support public transit, but worry about the loss of some of these routes.
They're losing a direct line to downtown Indianapolis, which to me is not a progression. It's a backward movement.
We're seeing a lot of changes with transit right now, but investment and improvements haven't really happened and really been looked into for almost 70 years. If you look at our map from 1945, it looks very similar to the map today.
Indigo says it wants to hear from you as it makes these adjustments. You can find more information about these changes in this story on the RTV6 app. It is a new piece of technology that could clear crash and crime scenes faster and help investigators with the Johnson County Sheriff's Office do their jobs. Our Kelsey Anderson is working for you to find out how the department paid for the equipment, plus how it can benefit you.
So it shows the length is 20.60 feet between that spot in the bumper and the front of that bumper.
Chief Deputy Andy Barnhart is excited about the county's newest piece of technology.
Faro 3D scanner.
The new scanner is designed to help investigators get a 360 view of a crash or crime scene and finish the process more quickly.
The way we do it now, we have a laser data collector machine, and it involves taking a reflector and holding it at important points on the scene. With that technology, it usually takes several hours, 3 or 4 hours sometimes, to do a crash scene, and then we're only collecting a few dozen measurements. With this new technology, we'll be able to collect tens of thousands of points of measurement.
Barnhart showed me how it works with this simulated crash. The picture looks pixelated, but he says it's actually not, and what you were seeing are all the measurements the Faro scanner took. He says the new technology won't just benefit the department, but the entire community.
If it's a criminal case, if there's alcohol involved or something like that, where someone's going to be charged with a crime related to a crash, then this will help recreate that scene in the software for court, because we can do fly-throughs and 3D model recreations, things like that really help the judge or jury visualize.
Obviously, a piece of equipment like this isn't cheap. It's actually in the range of about $60,000. But Barnhart says they didn't have to touch their own budget to get it.
We spoke to our county commissioners, and they actually had a chunk of money put aside for technology-related improvements within various departments, and that was coming out of a bond, and they decided to let us use that bond money to pay for this. So,
Kelsey Anderson with that report. Investigators in Johnson County are now trained to use the Faro scanner, and Barnhart says they are ready to see how it can help them with their investigations.
Coming up, this mom says if the screening had been done on her kids, it could have saved them a lot of issues. Why an Indiana lawmaker is now pressing for all newborns to be screened for this condition.
Plus, these skills won't just save a life, they can also breathe life into a new career path. How you can get into this growing field still ahead when RTV6 News at 7 continues.
Heart Association and RTV6.
Tonight on RTV6, a lawmaker is pushing to add a deadly genetic disease to Indiana's newborn screening panel.
It's the only test the Hoosier State is missing from a list of screenings that are recommended by federal health officials.
RTV6's Stephanie Wade speaks with a local mom whose kids have this genetic disease. She explains why the test is so critical.
This mother had never heard of adrenoleukodystrophy before. Not many have. Only 1 in 17,000 people are born with it. That is, until the state they were living in at the time, Connecticut, passed a law adding ALD to its newborn screening panel. Then she found out both her boys and one of her daughters were carriers of the disease.
I cried. Yeah. Because to me it was a death sentence.
The disease that most severely affects boys causes them to lose all neurological functioning, sight, vision, ability to hear, until eventually they're in a vegetative state and ultimately die. The problem is Indiana doesn't screen for it, so families have no way of knowing until the disease progresses too far. But State Representative Ryan Lauer is trying to change that, filing a bill that would add ALD to Indiana's newborn screening panel, the only test recommended by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services that Indiana doesn't include.
There's hope because you get to know ahead of time that they have it. You get to screen for it. You get to MRIs, blood work. You get to keep them safe. They have a chance now.
Working for you, Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Coming up, Tony Kanaan is preparing to take his last laps as primary driver. How he's feeling after making the big announcement. Kevin?
Yeah. And I want to show you this. Watch. Temperatures as cold as 27 on the coolest morning, but as warm as 55. We'll talk about day of the week that will occur coming up.
Silverado 1500 pickups.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Senators are submitting their final questions in the impeachment trial today.
But one big one remains to be answered. Will there be witnesses? Questioning wraps up tonight, and senators will meet tomorrow morning to vote on whether to allow witnesses. It's unclear how that will pan out. The vote will be decided by a simple majority. If they allow witnesses, the trial could go on for several more weeks. If they don't, it could end as soon as tomorrow. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said if the witness vote fails, he'll move for a swift vote on the impeachment articles.
A Tri-West high school teacher accused of sexual misconduct with a student will appear in court next week. The preliminary hearing for Tyler Bruce is scheduled for February 5th in Hendricks County Court. He is charged with child seduction and obstruction of justice. Bruce is now on unpaid suspension as the school district moves to fire him.
Former Tri-West principal Adam Benner is due in court on March 3rd. Benner is charged with failure to make report allegations of child abuse to law enforcement or the Department of Child Services. He received a summons to appear in court and will not be arrested at this time. The failure to report charge is a misdemeanor. Benner has not issued a statement on the charge. Call 6 Investigates has been looking into the case since the beginning. You can find our timeline of how it all unfolded right now on the IndyChannel.com. RTV6 is staying on top of developments for evicted residents who need help at a West Side mobile home park.
New today, the Attorney General's office has begun delivering checks to those residents who will lose their homes next month. We first started telling you about the I-70 mobile home park back in August. At the time, residents were told they would have to leave by October 15th. The eviction was halted after a series of RTV6 reports. The Indiana Attorney General's office issued a restraining order against the landowners. That order halted the evictions until each resident received payment for their unmovable mobile home or the title. Residents tell us that staffers from the Attorney General's office plan to return tomorrow with more payments.
It's time that we check in with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory, who says a warm-up is on the way.
One to look forward to. How about the 50s? Yeah, that'll sound good. It lasts just a couple days, but we'll take it and move on. And one of the days comes with lots of sunshine. I'll go ahead and spill the beans. Sunday, sunshine. Groundhog Day, temperatures in the 50s. Super Bowl Sunday, there's a lot going on. Temperatures as we get to Monday and Tuesday are still mild. Then they'll fall off after that. Lots of cloud cover today, but I bet you probably saw at least a few breaks, some cracks in the cloud, just to give you a little brighter sky at times, but the clouds are going to win out next several days. 35 in Indianapolis, the morning low. 31, not much of a temperature range. Almost 40 in Sullivan and Bedford. Bloomington made it above 40 today. They're at 38 right now. Through the evening hours, we're dry until early overnight. We're dry. It's probably about 4 or so in the morning in the southern portion of the state. This will lift from south to north and reach central Indiana during the morning hours tomorrow. 7 a.m., the best chance for snow actually reaching the ground will still be, I think, Sullivan, Bloomington, Columbus, Greensburg, south. Could be a few flurries to the north. Then as we get to mid-morning at 10 a.m., you still see this kind of a sharp edge to the darker colors where you would find some light accumulating snow. Terre Haute to Indy to around Richmond. Then in the afternoon, beginning to switch over and mix with rain, if not changing to all rain, as that pushes then into the Buckeye State and will let us dry out. As far as snowfall potential, as I mentioned, very little in a way of accumulation to the north. From Indianapolis south, an inch or less of accumulation. If we see the 1 inch amounts, probably Bedford, Seymour, Bloomington, best chance there that you pick up an inch, and then we'll start working on melting that almost immediately in the afternoon. Temperatures come above freezing as the weather system pulls away and we begin to dry out. Don't forget Storm Shield app. It is free for your phone. The RTV6 app 2 provides helpful information. Temperatures during the next 3 days really start to change as we get late in the weekend. There's Sunday's high of 53 degrees. Tomorrow we're in the 30s. These temperatures in the 30s will come with that snow in the morning and then drying out in the afternoon. Saturday planner. The wind will come up Saturday. If we see any rain snow mix, it'd be early in the day. Otherwise, we're dry with 20-mile-per-hour gusts and a temperature of 43. 7-day forecast. Groundhog Day will be a nice day. Lots of sunshine, 53. Clouds coming back into the picture Monday, 57. Chance for rain and 55 Tuesday. That is transition day to cooler temperatures, which return Wednesday and Thursday. 55-38.
Quite the spread.
A little
there.
bit of a difference.
Thanks, Kevin. Well, the 104th running of the Indy 500 will hold the final laps, at least for a primary driver, for fan favorite and longtime RTV6 colleague Tony Kanaan.
RTV6 Sports Director Dave First sits down with TK to get his take and see what's next.
You're very careful not to call this a retirement, because that's going to be...
Because it's not.
It's not a retirement.
I don't think I'll ever call that. Ever.
Why is that?
Because if you retire, you're putting a label that you can't jump in a race car again, and that's not going to happen. I will be that guy with the umber vision glasses saying, I can still drive like Mario does. So, no, I'm not going to call that.
You said it was an easy decision. Why do you say that?
It was an obvious decision, Dave. I mean, it's you know, you look back and you see the past couple of years how much we struggled, and then you go, the signs are up in the wall, you know, and it's not about me not be able to drive the race car. It's not about me physically. I mean, I'm in the best shape of my life, actually. I'm a lot better than when I started it. So it was just like, you know, 23 years. Lost sponsorship. What are we doing here?
When you talk about sponsorship, how much more difficult is it 23 years into this than it was your rookie season?
Well, I mean, it's different times, right? When you talk about racing, you had the beer, the tobacco, all those companies that could dump a bunch of money. All the teams were healthy, the manufacturers and everything. It wasn't hard for me because we obviously compressed the schedule. We say we have 5 races. Can you do one? Can you do one? Can you do one? Because obviously it wasn't hard to find the 5 races, but it was impossible to find somebody to sponsor for 17, and that's why I'm not doing the full season. So it is hard.
We're going to miss you in St. Pete for sure.
Well, I'll be there.
Indy 500 can't get here quick enough now, right? To see
is it May yet?
Is it May yet? Exact hashtag. But I know there are thousands of fans that have watched us, have watched you grow here at the Speedway, and they're going to, I think, celebrate with you.
It will be. That's what I said on the press conference. I don't want anybody to be sad. I want people to, let's enjoy this, and let's enjoy it together the same way we did. I mean, this month of May is going to be extremely hard for me. I can assure you that, because I don't know what the future holds. I might come back, I might not. You know, this is one of the races that I still think I can do forever. But the future, I don't know the future, and it's going to be extremely emotional. So I can't wait. I love it, but at the same time, probably going to need some tissues and the broadcast, you and I.
Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
Still ahead in RTV6 is hiring Hoosiers, a chance to learn important skills that could breathe life into a new career. How you can get into this expanding field.
We've got that story next right here on RTV6. Now a live look at the pagoda honoring John Andretti.
Call 1-800-CALL-KEN.
RTV6 is hiring Hoosiers puts a spotlight on jobs, career resources, and education in central Indiana.
More than 1 million people in our state live in rural areas, and a local hospital is working to increase the amount of emergency medical responders available to help.
Witham Medical Services is offering emergency medical responder classes, and the certification is a great start for anyone who wants to go on and work toward becoming an EMT or other medical-related job. That's what Cody Eldridge did after taking the class, which is an introduction to pre-hospital emergency care.
The class starts with basic anatomy and physiology, and then students learn basic skills for handling common cardiac and respiratory emergencies. They also learn how to recognize signs and symptoms of strokes and behavioral disorders. The class is also very beneficial to people who live in more rural parts of Boone County, where there may not be emergency services as immediately available as in a metro area.
Giving us someone out there that would know CPR or some airway management, simple stuff, really does help us. So if you're looking for something that's rewarding, it's definitely that.
Someone trained at this level could be associated with a volunteer fire department or home health care. There are many roles where being an emergency medical responder is beneficial.
Just last week, we were all introduced to Butler University's next mascot, Blue 4, and today the young bulldog is already celebrating a milestone. Just like parents who mark monthly milestones with their newborn babies, Blue 4 is getting monthly pictures to mark his growth. You see him at 1 month and 2 months, and today he is 3 months old, according to his Twitter account. He's had a busy week. TV appearances, his public introduction to the Butler fans at Hinkle Fieldhouse, meeting Indiana's first dog Henry, and stopping by the Butler president's office. Blue 4 is in training to take over when Blue 3 retires in May. Busy little dude.
Yeah, he even signs documents.
With a paw print.
He's a pro.
Okay, check this out. The dog's on the left, the miniature horse on the right. Ollie, we love you, man. Go for a walk, dry this evening, and in the 30s.
That's awesome.